Hello, guys. Welcome to another Into the Void real review. We're reviewing two movies this time, a tandem review. The movies that we are reviewing are No One Will Save You and A Haunting in Venice. So it'll soon be Halloween season, and I thought that I would review two movies that are, Halloween themed or close to it, and discuss the similarities and the differences of both. But before I get to that, I know I've been playing a lot of games, video games, and subscribers of the channel will know that I have been putting a lot of Let's Plays of video games up, and that has kind of sidetracked my movie reviews portion of the channel. Don't fret, I'll get to more movie reviews, and you'll see more of those along with the Let's Plays, because there's a lot of good video games out. So just a side note on that. Anyway, so I thought I would give you a double feature this time around to make up for it, like I said. And plus, what better time to do a review on two scary movies for the Halloween enthusiasts out there than right now? We're so close to the spooky time of year. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First off, we got Haunting in Venice. In Haunting in Venice, which I watched 2 weeks back, and actually, now that when I wrote this script, it's actually not 2 weeks back. It's actually probably a month back. So it's been a while since I watched this movie, and it's very late. But it's just remember, you're not getting just any review. You're getting my review. So, quick facts about this movie before we get into the meat of it. So, first off, I was unaware that this movie is part of a trilogy of movies that tie into each other in interesting ways. It's technically a sequel to Death on the Nile, which I haven't seen, but now I kind of want to now. And it's the third film in which Kenneth Branagh, who portrays the Belgian detective Hercule Poirot in all three of these movies. And just a bit of backstory on all these movies. First off, you got Murder on the Orient Express, which came out in 2017.
Would you mind if I join you? You're the world-famous detective, Hercule Poirot.
And then the other one, which is Death on the Nile, came out, I believe, I'm not sure, a little bit later than that. I think 2019, 20, somewhere in there, but I'm probably wrong on that. Anyway, he performed in all those movies, and in this movie, his performance is one of the best things in this film, and it says a lot in a film with lots of good performances, not only his. And one interesting side note before I get on about Branagh's performance is that it kind of reminded me of when I watched this movie or once I learned these facts about the fact that Branagh plays this same character in all those three movies that they don't tie directly to each other. It reminded me of the Knives Out movies, like Knives Out and Glass Onion, in which Daniel Craig plays Benoit Blanc, who is also he's also a detective. He's a private detective. And so it got me thinking, kind of a thought experiment where I thought, what would be really cool is if there was a movie where Hercule Poirot and Benoit Blanc tag team, or even compete to solve a case and see who comes out on top. And I know they each exist in different time periods, one being alive in the modern age and the other being alive in the past. But I think some movie studio can make that happen. Come on, I know they can. Have Poirot come back from the past after being frozen or something, and then meeting up with Benoit Blanc, in the future. It's not too far-fetched, is it? Just make sure to send me the check for the idea, because
give me your address.
I need some money. Anyway, Another cool fact is that this movie is loosely based on the Agatha Christie novel called Halloween Party, which came out in 1969. And the other two movies that I spoke of, Murder on the Orient Express, is also an Agatha Christie novel, 1934. Death on the Nile is, you guessed it, a novel, and it was written in 1937. So all these movies are from movies, but they're also adapted from screenplays that were produced by Michael Green. He's obviously a big Agatha Christie fan. And maybe I'll check him out, and maybe I'll become one too. So first off, let's get on with the positives of A Haunting in Venice. So this movie has great cinematography. The look of old-time Venice is front and center in this film, with the gorgeous waterways meandering through the stone buildings. You really are transported there, making it highly immersive, setting the stage for the central mystery of a young girl's death, which is the plot of the movie, basically trying to solve what happened to her. So, like I said, Kenneth Branagh's in this, and his acting is very good. It's the strong point of one of the strong points of this movie, and he's brilliant as a Detective Poirot who he isn't going to fall for the supernatural trappings of the whodunit case that's central to this. He's not going to believe it's ghosts. He thinks there's something more, that's not supernatural, something that's concrete and makes sense. And according to Poirot, everything has an explanation and can be solved if investigated enough. And then you have Tina Fey, who, now we're getting on to the other actors that are in this movie, and she's one of, also, she does a very good job of acting in a dramatic role, which she hasn't done ever. I think everything she's done has been in a comedic sense. And in this one, she does really good, actually, which says a lot about her range. She looks like she could do both dramatic and comedic. And so for this one, she plays the exploitive Ariadne Oliver. Ariadne Oliver. And there's a lot of just so you know, there's a lot of names that are hard to pronounce in this movie of the characters, so bear with me. Anyway, she plays Ariadne Oliver, who challenges her Poirot to bring his wits to the table once again in a case that she feels has more to it than meets the eye. She the other actor that plays in this movie is Michelle Yeoh, and she probably has the best performance in the movie. And she plays Joyce Reynolds, who is the counterweight to Hercule. She's the self-proclaimed psychic who has questionable motivations. At least you believe she might have questionable motivations. Is she a fraud, or is she really what she says she is? And in this movie, she's a conduit to the dead, maybe, who seems to become possessed in a particularly grand scene in which Yao flexes her acting chops. The highlight of the movie is her acting. It's really phenomenal. So let's get down to what's negative. Now, what could be a negative for some people is that this movie's not really a scary movie per se. It's actually more of a mystery wrapped in some wolf's clothing, or rather tame wolf's clothing at that. And the trailer does it no favors, as it clearly hypes up the creep factor to 11. Make no mistake, though, this is a mystery film, more than a horror film. You could call it a mystery horror, but I just don't think it's particularly chilling in any way. Yes, there's some jump scares throughout, but it peters out in the end. In addition, another negative is that the movie tends to be slightly unbelievable in places. People die, and sure, people cry over them, but then they quickly get over it and move on with considerable grace that is hard to believe if one were to find themselves in a situation such as they find themselves in. And that ends up really diluting the belief that these people are fearful of what is going to happen next. It's kind of a nitpick, and Some people may not find that this is the case if they aren't looking too closely, but for people like me who look at the movies with a more critical eye, they may notice this aspect. Overall, though, I mean, this is a great movie to go see if you're looking for a good mystery with some horror elements to spice it up. Just don't be looking for something as cerebral as something like Knives Out, and you'll be okay. So ultimately, it's a 7 out of 10 for me. Now, the next movie we're going to talk about is No One Will Save You. And this is basically a movie about home invasion featuring aliens as the invaders. That's no spoiler because the trailer clearly makes it clear that this is a movie about close encounters of the fourth kind. This is a movie I think that will slip under many people's radars as it's not in the theaters but rather on Hulu. Don't let that detract you from watching it though. It's a movie that has more beneath the surface than just what might otherwise be determined just by watching the trailer. And I can say that I was instantly enthralled with the simple premise due to its delivery from the very beginning. It's a tense and scary movie that first reveals something more. There's something that's revealed something more at the end that you may or may not understand. And so, let's go back a bit because if you compare the trailers for both these movies, you have A Haunting in Venice, which is a movie that the trailer portrays it as more of a horror movie and it doesn't portray it correctly. So you might go in thinking it's something scary when it's not. And so it kind of works against it. The trailer for No One Will Save You is it works better for that movie because the trailer portrays it as something that ends up once you watch the movie, it changes and it's different. So it doesn't really spoil the movie for you. It kind of gets you hyped up. But in the end, there's more to it. So the trailer's executed better in No One Will Save You rather than A Haunting in Venice. So anyway, as we continue, I kind of, this movie got me thinking after it was over, which is something I really like. It's a little untidy at the end, even for me who still likes movies with vague meanings in their message. And if you don't like to be stumped at the end of a movie, then this is not for you. Now, I like that, and also I'm a sucker for anything alien related, so it doesn't have to do a whole lot with the subject matter and then tell a good story and keep me invested as well. Which is, like I said, it does rather well. So, positives of No One Will Save You. This movie drips atmosphere, and it tells the story of a young woman who's going through inner turmoil that gets exacerbated by the appearance of visitors from another world. Or could it be from another dimension? We don't know. Caitlin Dever plays Bryn, who is absolutely stellar as a woman who must meet an otherworldly terror that threatens the sanctuary of not only her home, but also her mind. You feel her terror and pain in equal measure as she navigates what she must do to defeat the aliens. She hardly speaks throughout the 93-minute runtime, which is even more admirable from an acting standpoint. On to the negatives. Special effects, they're laughable and almost take from the experience. Almost. Now, the atmosphere trumps it just enough for me not to write it off. There is some questionable CG, as in there's one early scene where a building gets destroyed. That's bargain basement quality at best, and that may turn off a lot of folks. The aliens are depicted well, but I agree with some other reviewers that they may be on the screen for too much, neutering the creep factor that is important in these sorts of shows. And, the vague ending that will have you scratching your head about what you just watched, that's going to put some people off. And you think you know where the movie's going, but it just kind of, for some, it may have the perception that falls apart in your lap for you to figure out. And that can be a deal breaker for some. Or it can be something where you like the vague ending and you can kind of, delineate your own meaning from it. It's definitely way different than A Haunting in Venice, which clearly explains everything at the end and wraps it all in a nice bow. No One Will Save You kind of, it does unravel at the end in comparison, but it's also something that maybe you can figure out on your own, and that's kind of fun. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If I had to score No One Will Save You, it would get an 8 out of 10 for me. The creepy alien X Factor trumps the ending that really isn't an ending for me. So what movie is for you? If you like your movies more traditional, then I would go with A Haunting in Venice. If you like your movies more experimental, then I would go with No One Will Save You. Or you can go see both and enjoy 2 different movies before Halloween is upon us. So anyway, guys, enjoy your Halloween. I'm out. And until the next one, have a good one. See ya. Bye.